It's good to see everyone here, unless, of course, we've all traveled for Christmas and or not able to connect. And I'm just wondering why the numbers is this low. But anyway, Lado had called earlier that he wanted me to do a perspective of another perspective of the sermon before he starts answering our questions today. So he's going to be coming shortly to take our questions, and after I'll be sharing just some few perspective about what he talked about on Sunday. I know the Sunday sermon was fantastic, and like I shared on Sunday, that's one of the best sermon I've heard in a long time, especially talking about a topic that is not very popular. We talked about dying, about death. Jesus Christ indeed said that he is the resurrection and he is the life. So today, even as we look at the elephants, the great elephant, maybe again, I was thinking maybe it was a setup, that Lala Lufet was a setup for him to be talking about dying during the festive season. And maybe that was an extension of the setup, when he called and said I should share. But hey, we are ministers here and we just have to speak prophetically, what God wants us to say. And because I believe that we live in a world that is very obsessed with staying young. And I don't know about you, but for the past few weeks, I've been bumping into some of these short videos. I don't know if you have ever seen them. Some of these short videos about people, and they will be playing that song, Forever Young. I want to live forever young. And they will show people, whether it's Bruce Lee or people that have died, they will show them when they were alive, and the video will just end for them just going this way and going into the coffin and dying. So it was a very morbid scene, but each time it comes, it makes me think that, hey, one day that's how all of us will be. And they also show people in their prime or when they were young and now, whether it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester, Stallone, so people are obsessed about staying young and not about going old. So we in our society, people spend billions, and if you look at the healthcare industry, people spend billions and billions on things like skincare, healthcare, supplements. In fact, when we came back from our last room, half at 9, my sister-in-law packed a lot of all these massive multivites, cod liver oil, big, and we have so many of them, just things that you just swallow, just about staying young. And I will talk about safety measure also. All of these things, they are in an attempt, to ignore what I believe is one important, appointment, that we cannot cancel. One appointment we cannot cancel. We might try to delay it, but we cannot cancel it. And even in our society, when we talk about death, it's like a taboo, like holomagia. Even preaching this, I think maybe some of you are thinking, don't talk about death. It's like a taboo. And my brother showed us some different observations people have had about dying. Let the co-host and the host please help us mute people who are muted so that we can have a great service. All right. So in the society, people don't want to talk about that. You say, it's like we put it in a dark corner, that we refuse to look at all. And but today, just as we started on Sunday, what Abraham did was to look directly at that thing that we have been avoiding, not to be maybe morbid or to be weird, but in a very deliberate way, because I believe that until you understand death, until we all understand death, you will never truly understand what it means to live. I don't know if you've heard that saying, that if you don't have anything to live for, then you don't have anything to die for. So we need to understand that. And that's why one of the passages that I read on Sunday, there were several passages that were very, very striking. I'm not going to repeat them, because what I'm doing is just to look at another perspective. And that passage was John chapter 11, when Jesus Christ said to Martha was almost like blaming Jesus Christ. Oh, maybe if you have been here, he wouldn't have died, as if Jesus Christ was the one that killed him. And Jesus Christ made that very famous statement, I am the resurrection and I'm the life. The one who believes in me will live forever, though they die. So you see, death is there. Though you die, you have to die, but you live forever. He said, and whoever lives, by believing in me will never die. And he asks her, do you believe? And that's the question we should be asking ourselves today also. Do you believe? Especially in this season, do you believe? So let's look at the reality, or what I call the reality and the inevitability of death. It is there. To be honest, if you want to be, death is, I'm looking for a word, that is something I would call the ultimate statistics. We take statistics, right? Death is the ultimate statistics that 1 out of every person will die. Did you hear what I just said? That 1 out of every 1 will die. So it's the ultimate statistics. It's not 1 out of 10. It's not 20 out of 40. It's not the Pareto principle. 1 out of 1 will die. So it is what we call the great equalizer. Everybody comes to death and we are all equalized. Death does not care about my bank account. Death does not care about my race, my tribe, my level of education, the influence I have, that, I'm looking for some words right now, by the position that I have either in the church or in the world. From the moment we take our first breath, that first breath, the moment a baby takes that first breath, they are old enough to take their last. As soon as you take your first breath, then you are old enough to take your last. That means that from that point you are qualified to die. So why do we fear death so much? And while I was preaching on Sunday, I was so elevated. I was seriously elevated because for some reason I have always felt the same thing that I say. I've always felt it. I was so far, and I took note. I was like, yes, this is what I need to hear. So we fear death. Somebody asked, why do we fear death? We fear death because we actually see death as an end. Okay, this is the end of the show, the end of the program. We see it as cold, dark. This is the finish line. Some years ago, I don't know how long that, maybe more than 10 years, more than 10 years, obviously. Our son was still in secondary school, and that was when the Avatar came, the last Airbender, Avatar came. So, and I took our son more than 10 years ago. I went to Silverbird Galleria, where I went to go and watch it. The movie was like 1.5 hours or thereabout. You could see, he could tell, because it is one program that all of us have enjoyed watching when we were in primary school, and primary school. This is the last Airbender, the animated version. So this is the first time that the real human being version was coming up. As soon as it was getting to 1 hour 25 minutes, my son was like, he said it's going to finish. He didn't want to finish. He didn't want it to finish because that was just book 1. That was just book 1. And the excitement was so much that it was like, it's going to finish. He didn't want it to finish. But for a Christian, death is not a wall. It's not a dead end. It's not a wall. It's actually an opening. How the Yoruba say, aye loja oronile. Aye loja oronile. No matter how much you like something, let's say you go to Disney World and you're really enjoying yourself, and we're going to go home. Maybe you just entered university and you are very excited. One day you have to prepare to leave. So let me ask you, which student will feel sad if I come to a student and I just enter university and say, oh, I'm praying one day you are going to graduate? How many will say, like God forbid, I can't graduate? But so if you can't do that, then why can't you do it to death? Because you understand, that is a passage that you need to finish. So the fear of death is often, a symptom of a deeper problem that we have, and that problem is ignorance of purpose. Ignorance of purpose. And today, I want to throw the light. I'm going to throw it is about purpose. So when you don't know your why are you here? Then the end of here will now feel as if you've lost everything. If you don't know why, if you go to, let's say, the most hottest thing in Lagos right now, let's say as in venue is the Oka venue at the Eko Atlantic. I've not been there. Our son has been there, and he said, "Hey, we need to go visit there as a family." So a lot of people are going to go there. They are going to get lost in the massive something. People say it's the biggest in Nigeria, maybe biggest in West Africa. I don't know. I've not been there. So but you can get lost in that place. But you can get lost in all the things that you see, the air conditioning. But after a while, there is a time to go home. You cannot be lost in it. So there's a twofold of something we need to understand. We have twofold of calling. We have the general calling, I believe. They also have the individual calling. Now, for us to overcome the fear of death today, even as we await our brother Laulu to come and take to come and attend to your questions, we must answer the most critical question of our existence. And that question is, why am I here? Why am I here? Not that I'm here. Okay, I'm here. But why? There should be a reason. So this is the question that should make us. It's a wake-up question that we should ask ourselves every single day. We have to understand our purpose in life. You must distinguish between the general calling, which is God calling us to love Him, to serve Him, to whatever. He has called us. Then there's also an individual calling. So that general calling is foundational. Is the same for every human being. God has called you to come and live to serve Him. We are created to love God. We are created to worship God. We are created to reflect the glory of God. As they say, if you've gone to either Catholic Church or Anglican Church, they have what they call the Catechism book. Now, the Westminster Catechism book, which is for the Anglican Church, said, why did God create man? He said, man's chief, you remember that's what he said, man's chief end is to glorify God and to enjoy Him forever. When they ask you before your baptism, confirmation, why did God create God? Why are we here? He said, man's chief goal is to glorify God and to enjoy God forever. Now, this is our being. This is the original. This is the being calling. Now, outside the being calling, there is now the doing. So now you are here. So that is the general calling, the being, to love Him. And then the doing is now your individual purpose. Even as God has produced everybody here. Listen, no matter how you were born, all right? No matter how you were born, no matter how you came here, you might be a product of, I don't know, irresponsible parents. You might be a product of rape. You might be a product of anything. It doesn't matter. But for the fact that you are here, you are now a product of God. So this is your unique doing. Why are you here? So this is the specific problem that God wants you to solve. There's a design. You were designed to solve a problem. There's a specific beauty that you are designed to create, that you are designed to plug. There's a gap you have to plug. There's a specific community that God has designed you to impact, and that is where you find your why. Ephesians chapter 2 verse 10 said, "For we are God's handiwork or workmanship. We are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." So you see, you have to do it. So finally, to understand that, we'll see the fact that fear is actually lack of vision. The book of, I believe, is it 1st, 2nd, or 3rd John, one of them said that fear is a sin, that anybody who fears does not have the love of God make complete. So why do people tremble at the thoughts of the end when they are thinking about, my life is coming to an end? It is because they have not yet started. I want to listen to me. Why people tremble when they think about the end, it is because they have not yet started. Now, if you spend your life merely surviving, chasing comfort, accumulating possession, buying things, America will call it stuff, buying stuff, seeking entertainment, then death will become a thief. Because when death comes, you will steal everything away. So you have to be afraid if that is all you are doing. Now death comes to take away everything you have worked for. But if you spend your life fulfilling a divine assignment, That is going to be merely, today I've sent so many emails, I've sent messages, greetings, whatever. That only becomes a submit button. It becomes a submit button. It becomes a enter button. That means I have done what God said I should do, enter. So that gives you opportunity to submit what you have done. So Paul said to the church in Philippi, he said in chapter 1 verse 21, he said, for to me, to live is Christ, to die is gain. So Paul was not afraid to just die because he knew exactly what he was living for and why he was living. He told Timothy, I have run the good race, I've found the fight. What is left for me is to receive. He was ready. So he had a why. And that why was bigger than death. So today I ask you, what is your why? Listen, I wish I had this kind of sermon like 20 years ago or more. By God's grace, and I must have had me share about it before, I began discovering my why almost 15 years ago. I began discovering my why. I became so possessed by that why. This is why God has called me. I remember, going to our discipling time, and I told my discipler, I have found the reason why I'm here. And I declared every single thing, and the room was quiet. This is why I'm here. And again, be careful of who you share those things with, because it can turn around the other way. It's like Joseph, sharing with his brothers and every single thing. But I'm going to think, are you crazy? Whatever. And I shared my why. And that is, I believe, what fuels me. So it is now a life what I'm living. So when you live without a sense of divine purpose, what you do is that you cling to life. With this desperate, just cling to life. No. But when you have a sense of what you are willing to let go. Now, what am I saying? Am I saying that we should go and commit suicide to die so we can go to heaven? No. Of course, you can't even go to heaven if you go and kill yourself. Killing yourself is a no-no. But I want us to, even as we're living out our life, do you understand your purpose? So when you realize that you are here on a mission, and you are here on a mission from the creator of the universe, that moment you now realize that your life doesn't belong to just you anymore. It belongs to the one who gave it to you. You now begin to live. So living for the I am. Let's now close out with the I am, what Jesus Christ said. I am resurrection and the light. The reality is when Jesus Christ said, I am resurrection and the life, what he was saying is that life is not a biological process. So you were born. No, life is actually a person. So Jesus is life. Life is a person. If you are in Christ, then you have already stepped into that eternal life. You are not living the life of resurrection. So therefore, the goal of every Christian is not to merely just die. My goal is not to die. No, that's not my goal. My goal is to live fully before I die. You understand? There are two different things. So the goal of a Christian is not them just go and die. No. My goal, your goal, is to live a fulfilled life, live life to the full before you die. So ask yourself some of these questions. Question number one. If I or you were to stand before God tonight, would you be handing him back an unused gift? Will you be handing God back unused gifts? Remember the parable of the talents. If you are to meet God tonight, will you be handing God back unused? God say, I gave you these gifts. Well, I didn't use them. Number two, or are you building a kingdom that ends at your funeral? The kingdom that goes end at funeral, or are you investing in a kingdom that will outlast a heartbeat every single thing? So as we prepare our questions, and I want you to gather your thoughts together. And this one the time we'll be asking you who want to share. In fact, the hands should start going up now. I want to encourage you to stop running from the reality of the grave. Stop running of the grave. Instead, what should you do? I want all of us to let the reality, allow the reality of the grave, let it fuel your urgency for the gospel, fuel your urgency for the passion, for the purpose that God has given to you. So, brother and sister, don't just exist. Don't just wake up to pay the bills, collect salary every month, wait for the end of the year, a 13th month, all these things that people wait for. No, I want you to begin to discover the specific good work. And Ephesians said, God made you for a good work. Find out, why are you here? When I found out I'm here, I said, wow, this is why I'm here. God has called me to add value to this world. And I began to write down areas I'm going to add value. These are the areas God has called me to come and live this life. So God prepared you before the foundation of the earth. So when you are busy doing your father's business, when you are busy doing your father's work, then death will begin to lose a sting on you. Death will become something that is not so much on you. The resurrection and the life to grow. That is what God has prepared for all of us. Your purpose is your divine calling. Your life is gifts that God has given to you. And the legacy you are going to leave is how you have used this gift to the glory of God. Because one day death will come. It is not when, as it is not whether it will come, but it is when it will come. The when we do not know, but it will come. But when we are here to prepare ourselves, and we are here to have a positive. Of course, when somebody dies, we miss them. We are going to miss them, their memory. We will mourn, we will cry. That is absolutely normal. And that's why the Bible told Christians not to mourn the way the world will mourn. Hopelessly, I'm mourning. I'm mourning because I will miss the memory of that person. I'm mourning because the person will not be around me to encourage me, to make clothes, just like Tabitha. He made clothes. He helped me. It was like, miss the memory of that person. But I know that person had gone to where God wants to do. And me too, I'm looking forward. It is not God forbid. I'm also looking forward to give my life to the full, so that when the time comes, we'll be able to say to God, I have run the race, I have fought the good fight. The only thing that left for me right now is to receive a crown that God has prepared for me. And that is when we're going to hear that words that we've always longed to hear. And those words are, well done. Well done, good and faithful servant. And on that note, I've wrapped up. I'm going to be handing over the lectern, the virtual lectern right now, back to Mr. Adesanya, who is the duty contributor announcer today. And he is going to invite on Mr. Karonwi. All right, God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for that perspective. Well, as he said, even now the hands should be going up, though I've not seen any hand. But while we're waiting for the hands to go up, I'll hand over to Laulu Karonwi, who, I don't know if you still have one or two things to say apart from answering the questions. Who wants to die? Who does not want to die? But we all die. No matter how you want it or like it. All right, one hand is up. Please unmute yourself and go ahead. Mr. Karonwi is listening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So my
Please go
question
ahead.
is Dr. Eme. When you are talking about purpose, I was just trying to think and ponder on it, and I was trying to figure out, do I really know my purpose? And I think I need help there. How do you know that this is your purpose? And is it what you do or what you like to do or what people know you for? I need to be clear. So if you can just throw more light on that.
All right. Thank you for that question. Laulu, can you unmute? Can you please unmute, Laulu? Are you there?
Yes.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, this is your stage, bro. This is your stage. Are you able to show your face?
Okay, let me try and do that.
All right. So why he's doing that? Let me just jump again. Our plan is for Laulu to answer the questions, whatever. Now, the path of self-discovery is something I had to be taken through that path. Like a t-shirt like my son used to wear when he was in primary school or secondary school. That just says, I can explain it to you, but I cannot understand it for you. So it's something I had to be taken through the path of discovery. There are several questions that you will be asked, several questions that you're going to be asked that is going to begin to reveal to you. So it's not something I can tell you. My part of discovery might not be the same thing with part of discovery for you. But I can just take a look and share. I began to notice pattern in my life. I began to notice a pattern. No matter what I do, I come back to that spot. No matter the intention I have, I always come back to that spot. And even when I don't say it, people remind me of that thing. People call me, whatever they are. And I have to say, why? This is where I want to go. But everything is going this way. I want to go this way. Well, then I began to study. You might want to study people like lives of David, the life of Joseph, the life of Daniel, the life of Paul. These are men that I studied. And what I say, this is what they thought they were living for their life, but this is what they ended. And I found out that God has prepared me for a particular thing, for an assignment. All right, God, no matter I couldn't shake it out. And that assignment, part of that assignment is to add value. God has given me some certain gifts that He wants me to use to better the world, not just in a local place. To actually, my calling is a universal one. My calling is universal, and I began sharing that my calling is to the whole world, not just to a particular place, a particular ministry, whatever. No, my calling is to go and work. So even while I'm here, it is not about being on staff. Being a staff of the church gave me the avenue to begin to explore all those things. Give me the avenue. It's like a push to begin to explore it. So even now that I'm not on staff, I still see myself doing exactly the same thing. I am still helping people literally all around the world. Even today, I've gotten like 2 emails, 2 calls to come and help people in different parts of the place right now. I told them, I said, write it down. You don't write it down, I won't be able to put it. And they wrote it down. So I said, that's actually what God calls me. And I'm telling myself, so God, how can I now take care of myself with this calling? And God began to now show ways that God can take care of me as I'm doing it. So my calling is to add value. God has given me things, the way to think, a very dyslexic way of thinking, of seeing issues, of problem solving, that He wants to help people on our place. Again, if we need to talk one-on-one, I will talk about it, but it's a process of thought that you're going to be taken through for you to discover the why you are here. You can be a doctor, you can be an engineer, you can be anything, but that might not be your why. That is good to keep body and soul together, but you need to find out your why. And the day you find out your why, that day, fear of death goes away. You are obsessed with fulfilling that why, and you are ready to live out your life, for that why. I'm going to be handing over to our brother Karowe at this time. I think my job is done. Welcome, bro.